Hello everyone from San Francisco Airport. I'm just about to fly back to the UK. In about 3 or 4 hours I get on my flight. I thought I'd come here early. I haven't posted a video. This is going to be my very last video from the United States, so I thought, here you go. It's with mixed emotions, obviously, that I'm leaving. I've had a really great time, but I'm also a bit road weary now. I'm looking forward to being in the same place for more than a couple of days, and spending less time in a car. Although it was fun, the driving thing was cool, but I've had enough of that, at least for a little while. Since my last post, I think the last time that I posted was from the Grand Canyon. At the Grand Canyon, that was an amazing thing from a natural beauty scenery point of view. That was definitely the highlights. Although I've seen a lot of really cool stuff across this country. The next stop was Vegas. Vegas was mad. Stayed with some crazy Israeli guys. Had a really nice time with them. They were really hospitable. We went out clubbing. I quickly discovered that, or was quickly reminded that they were 20 years old and I was 36 years old, and that they had a much better endurance than me. And so I sort of left home, walked around the strip. It's quite an amazing place. Matthew Smith, you have no idea what you're talking about. It was every bit as tacky as I wanted, so I wasn't disappointed at all. LA, just through circumstances, wasn't that great. Well, it was a mixture. I have been having phone issues throughout this whole trip, with the battery on my phone running down in no time at all. And on my day in LA, when I was relying on Google Maps to get me around, the car charger decided to just fall apart in my hand. So my battery ran out, and I was without Google Maps, and I was driving around. Eventually I managed to track down the Hollywood sign, hiked up behind it, so saw the sign up close. It was nowhere near as big as I thought it was going to be. Of course, I have no photographic evidence of this because my phone was dead. On the upside, though, stayed with Ty. Ty surfed with us in London with his mate Cody. Cody's over in Korea at the moment, but had a great time. He's an excellent host. Drank loads of amazing beer. And so that was really great. And then on to San Francisco, and I've been in San Francisco for a few days. Got here early because Fabian, this wonderful person who I've met on this trip, it was a nice unexpected surprise, came over to see me off. We had a nice couple of days in San Francisco. We went, I did a bit of walking around the city, and then yesterday we went on a wine tasting tour. Had some nice but not amazing wines, and I think Fabian was even less impressed than I was. I think I probably come from a more Australian or even an Italian palate, whereas I think Fabian's firmly French is best. So we weren't completely sold on that, but it was still a great day out and some fantastic scenery as well. One of the things I wanted to do in this final video was to thank those people who've contributed to this being such a great trip. The first, of course, are my hosts, and both Couchsurfing and B&B hosts who've made my trip what would have been okay, I guess, but made it absolutely fantastic. Some of you I hung out with a lot and really got involved in your daily life, and that was lots of fun. Some of you I didn't have much time because of circumstances with my travelling or circumstances in your life. We didn't get much time to spend together, or we didn't really interact that much, but all the same, I want to thank you for your hospitality. Also, those people who managed to bail me out, I inevitably ran out of money halfway through this trip. So JP, Huggies, I love you guys, and Big Sister, who I managed to call on from Fort Bragg, which, if you've never heard of it, is in upstate California, and really is the most isolated place I could have imagined in California. It was a 70-mile windy road away from anything. Dropped off the car there. The owner of the car, who I was delivering to her, was kind enough not to mention the fact that I was actually going to be stuck there the night and that there was no bus until the next morning. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Laura. And so I managed to get out of there, and the next day, thanks to my sister, who sort of went running around Darwin organising, getting me a bit of emergency funds, and very much appreciated. So, what have I learned from the USA? It's a big country. I probably should have expected that. There's a lot of stuff to see. Probably, it's roughly the same size as Australia, but I think there's a lot more in between to keep the interest going. But it is a big country, and I bit off a bit more than I could chew. If I was to do this trip again, I think what I would do is I would cover less ground, possibly still have the same length of trip. I think 4 weeks. I'm ready to go home now. It's been great, but I'm ready to go home, or back to the UK home, because at times I really wanted to be able to stay for a couple of days longer in places, and I wasn't able to do that because of the extremely ambitious schedule that I'd set myself. Second thing I've learned, Americans are just like us. I don't think they've got nearly as much bravado and sort of arrogance as sometimes they're sort of, as sometimes we pretend that they do when we're getting into a bit of healthy yank bashing. If you're able to separate the amazing sort of like scenery here and the interesting people from their foreign policy, I think if you give them a chance, the Americans have got, they've got a lot to be proud of. The other thing that I learned was beer doesn't need to be tasteless. The beers over here in America have been an absolute revelation. I was expecting good. I got fantastic. I've been to some amazing craft breweries, and as far as I'm concerned, I want to try and inject a bit of interest in creating some worthwhile beers, some additional worthwhile beers in the UK and in Australia. I'm sure they've got a scene, but I mean, America, I think, is leading the world in craft beer. It's just words can't describe the different tastes and the experimentation that's going on in this country. It really is quite something. The other thing that has been confirmed is, yes, all of the toilets in the USA are broken. They're all full of water, overflowing. I mean, if you walked into a toilet like that in the UK or in Australia, you would instantly think it's broken, but all of the toilets seem to be like that. It's a different type of whirlpool flush mechanism rather than a jet of water flushing the toilets. I can't really testify to the relative merits of either of the two systems. All I can say is that when sitting down on the toilet, your bits and pieces are dangerously close to the water, dangling into the water, which is, I find, a bit unnerving. I don't know about everyone else. The other thing I've learned about is what I'm doing now is in San Francisco airports, talking to a computer. Probably looking quite mad, but I've come to the decision that either I don't care about other people's impressions that much, or really it doesn't really matter that much. So that's something that I promise you, my blogging days. Well, I'm not going to promise you. I think it's probably highly likely that my blogging days will be over once this trip is over. But I will have a lot more confidence about mumbling away to myself in public, especially if I'm talking to a camera. Finally, guys, just thank you for watching. Those of you who have been following, and I'm glad I hope I've been able to give you some interesting insights, interesting anecdotes, entertaining stuff. I've quite enjoyed doing this. But goodbye from the USA. See all of you in the UK very soon. And those of you in Australia who might be watching this, lots of love to all of you. Bye-bye.